Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we make sense of the money games that corporations play. And today we are looking at MiNK Therapeutics, and let me tell you, this filing has something new for us, something about selling stock like hotcakes. So MiNK Therapeutics has dropped a Form 8K, and what does that mean? Well, it's like a company's way of shouting out important news to the public pretty quickly. The big headline here is that on July 15, 2025, MiNK Therapeutics entered into an at-market issuance sales agreement. Think of this as a deal with a sales agent, a company called B. Riley Securities, to sell shares of their stock. They're planning to sell their common stock, which is basically the regular ownership pieces of the company that you can buy. How much are they selling, you ask? Well, they inked a deal to potentially sell up to a whopping $50 million worth of their stock. Now, this isn't just some random sale. It's happening through an existing plan that was filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission. They had a registration statement filed back in November of 2022. And this sales agreement is how they're going to actually start offloading those shares that were registered. And they can sell these shares whenever they feel like it, as market conditions allow, essentially. This gives them flexibility to raise cash when they need it most. It's also worth noting that MiNK is identified as an emerging growth company. This means they get to follow some slightly less strict rules than bigger, older companies, which can be both good and bad for investors. Their stock is traded on the Nasdaq under the ticker symbol NKT. So what's the big story behind this? It looks like MiNK Therapeutics is preparing to raise a significant amount of capital. Selling stock like this is a common way for companies, especially those in growth phases or with heavy research and development costs like biotech firms, to fund their operations and future projects. The company itself is based in Delaware and their principal executive offices are in New York. This agreement with B. Riley Securities is basically them saying, hey, you go sell our stock for us and we'll pay you a commission for it. It's a way to tap into the market and get cash flowing into the company. You also see here an opinion from a law firm, Elifam and Watkins. This is typical for these filings, and it's basically legal confirmation that everything is on the up and up regarding the stock they are issuing and selling. And then there's a consent from that same law firm, which is just another legal formality to allow their opinion to be used in this filing. So what does this all mean for MiNK Therapeutics and for us watching? On the one hand, raising $50 million is a huge shot in the arm for any company, especially one in the biotech space where research is incredibly expensive and often takes years to pay off. This money could be used for clinical trials, developing new drugs, expanding their research capabilities, or even acquiring other companies. However, there's always a flip side to consider. When a company sells more shares, it means that each existing share represents a smaller piece of the company. This can dilute the ownership stake for current shareholders if they don't buy more shares themselves. Also, the fact that they are actively selling shares might signal that they need the cash fairly urgently or believe their stock price is strong enough right now to get a good deal. From a Warren Buffett perspective and looking at this from a long-term investment angle, we need to understand why they need this money and how they plan to use it. Is it to fund groundbreaking research that could lead to massive future profits? Or is it just to keep the lights on and cover operational expenses? Without more context on their specific business pipeline and the stages of their drug development, it's hard to say definitively. But we know they are in the therapeutics business, which means they are focused on developing treatments for medical conditions. The key takeaway here is that MiNK Therapeutics is actively positioning itself to secure funding and continue its operations and growth. They are using a common but important financial tool to do so. Investors will be watching closely to see how effectively they deploy this capital and whether it translates into tangible progress in their research and ultimately into successful products and profits. It's a strategic move that shows they are serious about advancing their goals in the competitive biotech landscape. Alright, that's our breakdown of MiNK Therapeutics' latest filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out our Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.